Alrighty, so we'll get started. So this is the lovely TM6, the Thermomix. The good thing about Thermomix is that they are built to last for a long time. And whilst new models come and go, or come out and the old models go away, the one thing that it does do is it just is such a reliable workhorse in the kitchen. It's a smart connected kitchen, so it actually connects to the internet, and it allows us to be able to do so many more things. So even if you are a proficient cook, you might want to actually be able to tap into some other things to make your cooking experiences more broadened, and you might be able to do things a lot faster, which means you've got more time to spend on doing some of the creative things. So with our screen here, this is our home screen. We have time, temperature, and speed. The selector changes all of these, whichever one's the largest one. So we're turning it around like that. For those of you that have just got your TM6, if you're ever looking for how to do the reverse, you just pop on the little reverse button here. So we've got the blades when it's going in forwards and reverse when it's going that way. And if you need to ever clear anything, you can just swipe down. So the temperature goes all the way up to 120 degrees, or for using the Varoma dish, you have it on the Varoma temperature. But likewise, if you've got seconds or minutes on here and you want to clear it, you can either press the little clock or you can slide it down and that will zero it. Okay, so that's your home screen. So this is where it always will turn on to. Up the top here, you've got your menu bar, and this is where a lot of the information is stored for you to be able to tap into for your recipes, your weekly planner, what you've recently cooked. I love that one because sometimes I'll forget what something's called and I can come in here and think, wow, what was that dish that I made last week? Scroll up and then go, oh, that's right, it was the curly fries. We use the spiralizer for that. So I can actually look to see what it is. Or if I'm wanting to do the high heat and use browned onions, because you can't select that manually, you have to be able to use it through a Cookidoo recipe, then I can come back in here and just tap into it and start again. So that's your recently cooked. In your settings, there's all sorts of things to be able to change your language, your displays, your sounds. So for anybody who's upgraded or recently upgraded or still has the TM5 or TM31, those particular models didn't have the ability to do the changes of sounds. The TM5 did when the cook key came out, but yeah, it was the one sound and it went from the beginning to the end until we could actually adjust it. So now we've got choices for sounds and choices for volume. It's where it also connects to your Wi-Fi, and yeah, basically going through everything there. So this is where all your detailed things. It also tells you when Cookidoo is, your Thermomix version and updates. This is where you can come in and look for any updates. What I love about the Thermomix is that it actually gets better and better every time. And I'll show you in more detail what I mean when we get to the modes. So you can actually see and look for updates if you're needing to see whether you've missed something. In Cookidoo, in settings, you should also be able to see your Cookidoo account. And this is where you can click on to see when your Cookidoo is valid up until. So I don't know whether that screen's actually going to be too bright. I might actually have the setting set the wrong way. I'll just go back and check. So when it's on the lowest display, it's always better. Yep, no, that's on the low. Okay. Just the reflection, I know sometimes it can be a bit blurry. So that's all your bits and pieces of information for settings and all the safety messages as well, so that you make sure that you know how to use the Thermomix safely. Back out here and we can go into your health and safety instructions. I don't know about you, but if you get a new appliance or a new something in the house and you read the instructions briefly once and then you pop them away, you can never find them again. I love the fact that the Thermomix has got the instruction manual here, and it's actually in sections. So if you can't find it and you're wanting to find some information about anything, it's all here ready for you. You don't actually have to keep your book. It's all here, which is awesome. Also means that if anything gets updated, you'll get the newest version as well of the information. Again, your warning messages, safety messages are here. So that's that particular part of the menu. When you're back at your home screen and you scroll away from the selector, this is where your modes are. Now, when we first got the TM6, which is this one here, there were 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so there's about 8 different modes. And over the time, they keep adding new ones along the way. And sometimes it's so exciting when you hear that there's an update, you think, oh, what have they added to now? And you can come in here and check out what they've added. So I'm just going to briefly go through them so you can see. It does take the place of over 20 appliances. So you'll see when we're using some of these things, when I'm showing you these things, that that's where they're replacing a particular appliance. So you've got your scales. So that one's a bit of a no-brainer. You don't have to have your measuring cups out all the time. You don't have to have your tablespoons. You can keep tearing things and adding it. If you've just recently got your Thermomix and you're wanting to know if the scales are correct, your measuring cup should weigh between 80 and 85 grams. So this one's perfect because there are slight variances. But you can just keep tearing it and then keep adding things to it as you're going in the bowl, liquids or dry. Your chop feature. Now, your modes might look a little bit different to this because I've actually moved mine around, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. This is probably one of my favourite modes, being a long-time Thermomix owner, because if I ever wanted to do something manually myself, I would need to pull out the book, go and look to see what it is that I wanted to chop or mill, and then look at it there. Whereas here, it's already saved for you. So if you wanted to mince some lamb, you could actually pop the 300 grams of sinew-free lamb, slightly frozen. So you chop them into cubes, pop them in the freezer for a bit to freeze up a bit, so that it doesn't end up going to lamb paste. And then you can set the speed and time for it, and it actually sets it for you. So you don't have to go hunting around for anything. It's all here ready for you to look at. Does things like chopping fruit and veggies, or milling coffee, your coffee grinds, chocolate, crushing ice. It's the only appliance in the market that can crush a kilo of ice in one go, which is really impressive. So the blades are just so super sharp and designed so that it will crush them into nice pieces of ice and making your own slushies. Then we've got dough feature. So this is where you're wanting to manually knead something. So it might be kneading your favorite pizza dough recipe, or a bread, or even mixing some scones. Sometimes you can do that as well in here. So it's just a kneading function. So the design of the bowl, it has these little grooves in it, and that's to allow inside the bowl to actually work like an extra pair of hands and to knead through here by kneading your dough and your ingredients. We also have in the the mode screen, the pre-clean. I love this one. So if you're busy getting ready to have your dinner and you don't want to spend time cleaning the bowl just yet, you can pop some water in it, a little bit of detergent, and pop it on the pre-clean. When we first had this one, this model, we only had the dough universal, fat on caramel and browning. And a lot of the consultants said, that's just too long for us to wait. You know, the 5 minutes is too long. We want to do it quicker. So they put a short one on for us, which is really awesome. And half the time, that's all you need. But it will, because it's a smart, it has the ability to detect what's in the bowl and the resistance of the blades. It can actually tell when something's nearly clean. So actually being able to have your blades spinning freely, it knows, oh, okay, the bowl's nearly clean. So it can actually detect when it's had enough work to clean something. So if you've made honeycomb, it sets like concrete if you don't get the water in there and vinegar and give it a good clean. And it will actually be able to tell when, or determine when, the blades are starting to move, and then it'll go, okay, we're nearly done. And so that gives it a swish around and it's clean. It's a really smart way of being able to, use the cleaning mode. Turbo mode locks it in. It's going to tell me that I don't have my lid on because that's for safety. So turbo allows you to do like a pulse chop. So the pulse chop can be in 1 second, 2 seconds, or half a second, and it goes from 0 to 10 really super fast. So why I love this one is if you're chopping fresh herbs, it's not going to bruise them to the point that it turns it more pasty. It just does a real blitz. Probably can't hear it through the Zoom. It seems to blank out the noise, but it's a real short, sharp chop. So we use it the most for chopping dukkha, or making dukkha, and chopping our fresh herbs. That's one of the best modes to use for those. This one here is your spiralizer. I'll come back to that because I'll show you the attachments for that one. The blend function, this is a bit like Some people might have had NutriBullets in the past, where it just gives you a slower speed and then works up to a faster speed. I use it mainly for making my coffee frappes. It's perfect for making those, or if you're wanting to put it on for blending some soups. It means you don't have to stand there and manually turn the speed up slowly. It actually starts at a certain speed. Say we wanted to go to speed 8, it'll turn on and it'll get working until the momentum gets balanced, and then it goes up to the speed you've set it for, and then it blends all that. So good for liquids and for making a stock paste. Egg boiler. When that first came out, I thought, why would you bother? We've got the simmering basket. We can just pop it in and simmer the eggs the way we've always done it in previous models. The egg boiler mode actually gets you to put the eggs in around the blades, which I was very nervous about. Let me tell you, when I put, it says actually, what does it say? I always forget. Up here in the little information section, it says place 2 to 6 eggs in there. So, of course, me being me, I always do something the first time and then push the boundaries a little bit. So I think I've done up to 8 or 10 eggs. You just got to make sure that the water's covered over them. But it acts like a saucepan. So it will actually just bubble away with your with the water, and the blades don't move, which is really cool. So you don't end up with scrambled eggs with shell. It's just literally boiling away at the eggs, and it gives you the most perfect eggs every time. So it's a soft, medium, medium hard or hard. Perfect every single time. It's awesome. Kettle mode. This mode is wonderful if you don't want to actually set if you're boiling a kettle, it will automatically go straight to 100 degrees unless you turn it off beforehand. With the Thermomix, you can actually set it at lower temperatures. So great for babies' bottles, great for making brewing green tea because it gets steeped at a much lower temperature. So it will actually determine when the water in the mixing bowl is actually at that temperature. So if you've only got a small amount of water in, it will only take as long as it is to get that particular water quantity to the temperature desired. If it's a 2 litre, up to the 2 litre mark, it'll take a bit longer, obviously, but it will tell you when the whole jug mixing bowl is actually come to that temperature, which is awesome. So in that sense, it uses a lot less power as well. So less power than using a kettle. So for those people that are on the off the grid and are using their Thermomix with solar or with battery power or a generator, then you'll find you're actually drawing less energy by using the Thermomix to boil your kettle rather than your kettle. Also great for camping if you do it that way too. Thicken mode, exactly the same sort of thing as if you're wanting to make your gravies or your custards. You can pop your ingredients into here, turn the dial, and in 8 minutes it will thicken up for you without having to stand there and stir at the stove. Fantastic for being able to make your white sauce, but it's just perfect being able to not have to have your hands busy with stirring on the stove. You can be doing many other things in the kitchen, and that's all done then in that time frame. We have a Thermomix sensor, and I actually forgot to unpack that out of my kit when we recently did a market, so I have to find that. But the sensor is designed to Bluetooth to the Thermomix so that you can pop it in. It's actually looking for mine now. You can pop it into cakes and doughs and batters of your cake batters and that, or you can pop it into your meats, whether you're steaming them in the Varoma, cooking them in the oven, or cooking them in the barbecue. If somebody has a Thermomix sensor and they're finding it a little bit tricky to use, reach out to us, because I know that it did take me a little bit of time for the penny to drop that when the Thermomix sensor is in the oven or the barbecue, I didn't keep the cover here near the Thermomix. It needed to be close to where the probe is, and then that helps to transmit the sensor details back to the Thermomix. So if you were like me and had your sensor cover out here, then it was a lot better to have it right near the oven or right near the barbecue. Rice cooker, this mode is an absorption method for rice. So you can pop your rice in there. I often will do layered cooking, so I don't use this feature very much. But when I do want to make brown rice, I find this is the best way to cook my brown rice. So I will pop it in, and after I've soaked it for a little while, and then pop it in here, and it's done in 30 minutes. So whilst it's not any faster than being on the stove, it's just that peace of mind of knowing that when it's done, it's going to switch off, and you're not going to have an overboiling stove, water on the stove or anything like that. It's just cooked perfectly, and you don't have to be standing here watching it. We're going to go to warm-up mode next. Warm-up mode is where you can pop your leftovers into the bowl or ingredients into the bowl to warm them up. So awesome if you've got leftover, rather than having to put it in the microwave or to pop it on the stove to warm it through, you can pop it in here and it will warm the dish for you. We also have a slow cook. Now this one requires the blade cover. So this blade cover sits over the blades. So this little arch here, so it's over like a little bit of a lippy area, that goes over the high blade. So you'll see that there are two high blades and two low blades, and it just sits over like that. But when the blades are turning, it will turn the Thermomix, turn the blade cover, but it won't actually shred or puree your meat. It will keep it all nicely from being chopped up and disintegrate too much. So you can pop your stews. We put meatballs in there sometimes. A smaller corn meat will fit in here as well, and you can pop that on for up to 8 hours. So that's your slow cooker. You've also got sous vide. So again, the blade cover's needed for that because it goes in to cover the blades, and it will turn to protect the bags, your cryovac bags, from actually tearing in the blade with the blades. So you pop water into the bowl and you set it for 40 to 85 degrees, depending on the recipe. You pop your ingredients into a cryovac bag or some of the sous vide proof ones, like your Ziploc bags. I find Ziploc sometimes might actually not seal properly, but people have been known to use them. We've done sous vide steak before when we're having a dinner party. It's a great way to be able to pre-cook your steaks so that then when you need to know, how people like it, whether it's medium rare or medium well or well done, then you can determine how long you put them on the pan to finish them off, and it's just to sear them. But it was amazing. It was the most tender pieces of steak I've ever had, and they were just cheaper cuts of meat, which was really great for the wallet as well, being able to save on the good cuts and still get the desired outcome as well. So we put some, I think we put in some butter and garlic and thyme in the piece of steak that we had. So it certainly felt like we were eating at a 5-star restaurant, only I'd cooked it myself. You do become a bit of a food snob if you've had a Thermomix and you're doing all these fancy dishes. You do become a little bit picky. All right, so we've got that's a sous vide. So the sous vide, the slow cook, and the peeler. So this peeler here is what you also use the blade cover for. That will actually peel your vegetables. So you can pop your potatoes in there, sweet potato, raw beetroots. And again, it still blows my mind that it can protect your sous vide bags, but it can also peel your vegetables. But it's the one blade that does the lot. And I love being able to put my sweet potatoes in there because I love the fact that they then end up slightly more like the normal potato shape when you're about to roast them. So they're just a different, slightly different shape by the time it rolls around. The good thing about it is that the waste of your peels is almost disintegrated into the water underneath, and it's great then to be able to nourish your vegetables, your pot plants or your veggie plants out in the garden. So a great way of being able to reduce your waste. Do feel sorry for the chookies though, because they don't get the food scraps anymore. Okay, so then we've got the grater and the slicer. I'm just going to show you that one because that goes in with the cutter. So the cutter is at the moment, and I will go through this in more detail, but the Thermomix has got the best offer that I've ever seen in 11 years as consulting, with all the extras come for free. So it's amazing time to be looking at the TM6. So you have your spindle that goes into the bowl. So you pop it over the blades like so. Got to remember to pull that out though. It's the number one reason why people need to replace them is that they chop them. The cutter goes in over the spindle. And then you have one disc that does the job. So you've got the first side is slicing, so that's the slate side, and you'll see here that it's actually got the thick or thin. It depends whether it's on reverse or forward, and it's the side number 1. So that's what needs to be facing upwards, whichever way you're going to use it. So if you were slicing, you would be putting the slate colour, not the grey colour for grating, but the slate colour for slicing, facing up. and then you put the chute at the front, and then you're ready to start going. So if we're slicing, if you have a TM5, you can use the cutter in there as well. It fits the bowl, and you can determine with the forwards or reverse whether or not you're doing thick or thin. So with the TM6, you can just turn the dial around to that, and away you go. Okay, the actual information up here will tell you which way it goes. Okay, so it tells you all the information. All the modes have a little information symbol up here. So if you've closed it down and said, don't show me this message again, but you want to look for it again, then you can easily revert back to have a look for it. So then likewise, if we were grating, we would put the grey side up, and the same thing goes in, and we turn it on to grating, and we can go thin or thick depending on which way you want to use it. What I did learn when I was grating coleslaw, because I really do love the traditional grate of a coleslaw, not so much the chopping that we used to be able to do in the bowl. I found that doing your carrots and your onions and things like that would be in the thin, but I would then use the slicer to do the cabbage, because that gives you then a bigger slice. Sorry, cuts it in more like a slice. It ends up grating it in bigger pieces, so you don't end up with, almost paper thin little tiny slithers of cabbage. So I do everything that I want to put in it in the grating side, and then change it to the slicing side to do the cabbage, because that's how I find gives the best finish. So that's the cutter. Now, the other thing we've got is the spiralizer. So the spiralizer is the latest little attachment to come out, and it replaces this part of your cutter, and the pusher gets swapped over. So this particular pusher has got a little spike part on it to be able to hold your vegetables in place. And the actual blade part, or the disc, I think you call it, it comes out very simply out of the side here. Sorry, my fingers are in that way. So that comes out here, and you can change your blades over. So this one is for the zoodles. So you can see it's got the much smaller zoodle shape, whereas these ones are more like for your ribbons. So it actually uses it like so. So you pop that on. I'll do it the right way. So then this would make you curly fries, or it would be able to add curly fries or zucchini ribbons or carrot ribbons. They make them more like the ribbony shape rather than a zoodle shape. So it then just sits. You've got to make sure that when you're putting it on, it actually has this bit here, this little, I've got to get the lighting right, this part here needs to go up into the chute part here. So it sits like, so it actually holds it in place. So you can actually see the little side bit through here. So it actually has to hold that in place. Otherwise it completely misses it and you won't have anything chopped. That goes on there, and then you can go onto your spiralizer. So you can pop your zucchini or your carrot popped into there, and then push it down through here, and it will actually turn out the best curly fries. You can do the zoodles, carrot and zucchini. Amazing, really super easy. When you're slicing the potatoes with the slicer, to be able to use on here with your slicing, we do about 1.2 kilos for our potato bake, and it's cut perfectly consistent thickness in 40 seconds. 1.2 kilos of potatoes, which is awesome. So big time saver in the kitchen, that one. So that's the cutter. The best part about it is everything ends up in the bowl. And so when you're then ready to use your mixing bowl, it's still clean because the cutter has caught everything. So you take your spindle out and away you go. So that's the cutter and the spiralizer. We've talked about the blade cover. The other couple of things I'll talk about when we're talking about what's on offer at the moment. But I will also showcase the Varoma. So the Varoma is where you get your bulk of your quantities of food to be able to cook in. So this is 2.2 litres. This one is 3.3 litres. And you can fit all sorts of things in here. The lid becomes your drip tray because it will be very wet from steaming, and then you can pop that on like so to be able to pop it on the bench. Thermomix or Vorwerk are very, very conscious of keeping things as clean as possible. So you'll also find that the likes of the spatula that comes with it, it never sits flush on the bench. You've always got a little, it holds it up with the collar so that it doesn't make a big mess of your bench, which is awesome. So you can pop your vegetables in here. You can pop your, if you're wanting to do a lot of proteins, you can do protein on here and then protein in here. My only thing that I really like to point out to everybody, because otherwise you'll wonder why it's not working for you, is that you need to make sure that there's a bit of a hole of a gap in here when you're cooking your veggies. Otherwise, it's trying to steam from the bottom all the way through. So you want to be able to have that ability to get the steam circulating all the way through. So to do that, I'll often put an egg ring or a crumpet ring in here just to keep the veggies from falling into the middle. Or if I've got a piece of corned meat, if I'm doing a larger piece of corned meat and I want to be able to pop that in here, I will actually put the butterfly, which is the whisk, in so that it's like that, to lift whatever the meat is, to be able to pop that, to get that air circulating, steam circulating through. So that's how you do that one.
You've got a message there, Kathy, asking, does the spiralizer make potato slinkies like what you get on sticks at the markets? Which it 100% does.
It sure does. They're not quite as large as a potato because the commercial ones can do bigger potatoes. But if I can find it very quickly, I'll be able to show you that it certainly does do a good job. It's just that they're a little bit smaller and they would be better deep fried. But when you do them in the oven, you just need to probably steam. I covered ours when we did it, and it sort of softened them a bit in the oven, and then we put it on a high heat in the oven, and that gave them the crunchy, crispy finish that we wanted. But I will try and find that and show it to you, but I'll keep doing that while we're talking. So remind me.
Looking for the recipe, one of our consultants has posted it into the message group chat for you all.
Perfect. No, that's great. I was just thinking that the size, sometimes people get, they don't realise that it's a bit smaller in terms of like they can't put the bigger potatoes in, but I can't even remember what month it was. So I will try and find them for you and let you know. So that's how that one goes. We often will use this when we're doing rice down the bottom, sauce in the bowl. The simmering basket goes in here to be able to steam either more veggies if you want to, or we do our rice in there. So about 350 grams of rice, really well rinsed, popped in here will give you a really good quantity of rice for being able to, cook it for your meal. And then the spatula is what you take the simmering basket out with. So it just hooks on like so that you don't have to burn your hands to take that out. And if you're like me, and when you tip it out, the lid annoys you trying to get into the bowl, really super quick trick is to actually flip the lid first, then pull it back, and then you can tip it out like that and the lid's out of the way. So a great way of being able to keep the lid away from the food. So you can tip it into your serving bowl. I have actually done rice in here and then very carefully plated it for when we were having a guest over, and it actually stuck to that shape mold, and I was able to put a bit of parsley on there and it looked a little bit fancy. So that was nice. So that's where you pop the rice, or as I said, you have potatoes and things like that. The lid goes on, and then you can put your vegetables up here and your protein on the top. So another dish that we do a lot of from time to time is they call it chukki rice, but we call it non-fried rice. So we'll have water and coconut milk down the bottom, the rice in the simmering basket. Then up here we will have whatever I've got on hand. So we'll do frozen peas and corn and carrot, diced up ham, diced up raw chicken, might be some prawns, could be whatever you want to put into your fried rice. Pop that all into here, again, leaving that hole in the middle for the steam to come through. And then on here, I will scrunch up a bit of baking paper, wet it, and then mold it to the shape of this, and I'll pop the omelette on top. So then it will actually steam. You'll have the liquid for the steam to be made, the rice, the veggies and the meat, and then your omelette, which is awesome. So it allows you to really get in and give you that whole layering, and you end up with a massive 3 to 3.5 litres worth of cooked fried rice. Great for if you're wanting it to accompany things like chicken wings, or some other Asian style food, or I think sometimes our girls will just have sausages chopped up to have on the side with it, or some other bits and pieces of meat or whatever. So that's your Varoma. The butterfly is the other one I haven't talked about. So the butterfly goes over the top of the blades, and that's where you will be able to whisk your cream to make it into whipped cream, or even take it a bit further and have that turning into butter. Now, we do a Mastering the Basics class, and we'll be doing that on the 5th of March, I think it is. Is it the 5th? I did write it. Yep, the basics class is on the 5th of March, and we will actually show you how to make your butter, use the buttermilk to make bread, and then we always do something else, sometimes coleslaw, sometimes a soup, depends on the weather, to be able to showcase other tips and that you'll pick up from using your Thermomix. So and then the other thing that you would have received is your splash guard. So the splash guard goes on for when you're frying. So you can't do, as I mentioned before, manual mode with the browning. So you actually need to save yourself a recipe. So as I mentioned before, the browned onion recipe, or browning of any of the things in Cookidoo, and I'll show you that in a second. So that, I think I've done all the modes. I'll just double check. And I know I skipped over with the other attachments, but fermenting. So the fermenting mode, you can actually do pot set yogurts rather than having to do a jug of your mixture and then pour it either fermented in here, or you can pour it into the thermoserver and stabilize it. So when you're making yogurt, you need to keep the temperature really stable. You need to have that temperature to be able to ferment it and get all the good bacteria. So with this, now with the fermenting mode, you can actually have your mixture and then pour it into little jars. Now, we do have some in the mix shop which are perfect for it, because they fit really well in the Varoma, and you can have them sitting around here, or you can even pop a bowl into here and do the yogurt in a big bowl, so like maybe the thermoserver or something similar size, and it will actually keep the temperature stable for the 8 hours to actually ferment the yogurt. If you're a family that has arguments over what flavour yogurt to get, you can make yourself a coulis, different flavours. Somebody might want passion fruit, somebody might want raspberry. Have them in first, and then pour your liquid in to do the fermenting, and that will actually give you your pot set, which is awesome for that lovely bacteria that you need, good gut bacteria. So that is all of that. And then if you come over here a little bit further, but to just take the mode off. If you come back to your home screen and swipe towards the selector, that takes you to Cookidoo. Now, this Cookidoo is exactly the same as what you see on your laptop, and it's also the same as what you see on your app. So if you come into my Cookidoo on my app, it will show you exactly the same information that is on here. It replicates it. So it might not show the same on everybody else's, because they do, if you've ticked that, yes, they can monitor what you're cooking for feedback, or not for feedback, but for research purposes, it will actually determine and suggest things that are more in style with your type of cooking, which is really awesome. It shows you what's new on Cookidoo. It gives you lots of little videos. The videos actually play on the Thermomix here. So if you're wanting to see a little quick demo of what the spiralizer does, you can press play and it will show you how the spiralizer works.
The possibilities of the new accessory Thermomix Cutter Plus. A gentle touch is all you need to cut your vegetables, fruits, toppings, and garnishes in seconds, elevating the textures of the healthy food you prepare for yourself and your loved ones.
Nice, short and sharp and simple. Hopefully you could hear that. I don't know whether it would have come through the sound okay. But yes, great being able to watch things. And you can do this while you're actually waiting for a particular step to finish when you're cooking, which is perfect. So if you're waiting for something to fry for 2 or 3 minutes and you're just wanting to have another little look for something else, you can actually come in and start looking at these videos. So that is pretty much Cookidoo, but I will show you very briefly on the laptop in a second. But first of all, I'd like to just showcase the cooking of the coconut chicken curry, just in case you want to see some of the ways that it gets cooked and using the Thermomix to obtain that, achieve that particular dish. So I'm just going to share my screen. Pop it in here. Okay, so hopefully this will work. I'll just make it large. And I don't believe there's any speaking in this one, so I can actually talk over the top of it to step you through it, but we'll just see how we go. I'll just turn the volume down, actually. So I think that's what happened. Can you still hear me when I've done that? Yep, cool. All righty, so if I just press play. So here they're searching for the recipe, which you can do either on your device or on your in your app. There might be several versions of the same recipe. It just means that they're in a particular different cookbook. When you're on your recipe, it tells you all the preparation times, the list of ingredients, shows you the preparation steps, what utensils, hints and tricks that you might have to look at. And I often forget about reading them and then wish I had have read them. So it's always good to have a look. Talks about your nutritional panel so that you can see exactly all the nutritional requirements of the dish. This one's making cauliflower rice. Awesome way to be able to get some extra veggies into the family. Having the cauliflower rice, it just chops it so quickly in a couple of seconds. And this one does it in 2 batches so that you can get the right sizes, so it's consistent, rather than putting too much in and then having uneven sizes. So there's your rice. You transfer that into the Varoma dish and set that aside. Now, here is where I would have used my spatula to make a little hole in the middle just so it can evenly steam. 1 garlic clove, but she cooks like me and puts 3 in, and always extra flavour. So it chops it in no time at all. This is what sold my husband. It could chop up 1 clove of garlic and have it all nicely chopped rather than it knocking around in the blades. This one's using the onion, and because it's going to use the high heat, you actually don't put them in halved like a lot of other recipes. You're popping them in wedges. And as I mentioned, we pop the splash guard on so that it will refrain from any oil splashing up through the heat. This is where I wish we had smell and sound to be able to hear the sizzle, because it is amazing. And the smell of the onion is what everyone walks in the house and goes, oh, what's for dinner? That smells amazing. And we're only at the onion step. Tandoori paste, best paste I've ever tasted. It's made in 20 seconds using a variety of different spices. And it is the best flavour bomb you could ever imagine. Tomato paste, 100 grams of water, almond meal for thickening. If you don't, if you have a nut allergy, just leave that out. We've left it out several times. Chicken pieces. Now she's using breast and you'll see why, because it doesn't hold the shape as well. Even though they're big pieces, they still have it breaks down really easily. So if you're somebody who doesn't mind thigh and a recipe says thigh, then use the thighs. Again, I'll give you a little hole there for your rice. It still works with this particular dish with the rice, but I just find that it heats through a lot more consistently. So that cooks for 8 minutes. Great amount of time to be able to tidy up your kitchen because you don't have to stand there stirring anything. You stir the cauliflower here. She's only actually got half of the recipe of cauliflower. That's definitely not the full 700 grams. It would be a lot more in the Varoma. Cooks for a final 4 minutes. You remove the Varoma and transfer the cauliflower into a thermal dish. So the Thermo serve is a host rewards that we have access to when you host with having 2 guests watching the demo with you or having a demo in person. And you can select that. They're only available through hosting. Coconut cream, which makes the dish. I don't know how many times I've forgotten to do these last steps because I've been sidetracked, but it definitely gives that extra really authentic flavour. Now with that measuring cup pointing at the back, wherever the actual point of the measuring cup goes to, that is where the steam goes. So you can see that her chicken's quite shredded. That's because she used breast. So if you end up with shredded chicken and you've used breast instead of thighs, that would be why. I'll stop sharing that. Okay, so and now I'll share the screen so I can go through Cookidoo. Does anyone have any questions so far? No questions? Oops. Escape him out. We don't want to have him on. And we want to go to Cookidoo. So can you all see my Cookidoo?
Sure can.
Lovely. Okay. Now, I don't go into too much detail with Cookidoo because I do a Mastering Cookidoo virtual workshop, and we're doing that one on the 4th of March. So I think that's only next week, isn't it? Next, so next Tuesday, we're doing the Cookidoo Mastering Cookidoo workshop. Really worthwhile doing because it's 45 minutes to an hour long, and I just can't fit all that content in when we've only got another 10 minutes left of the demo. So if you want to know more about it, jump on, ask your consultant for the login details. We'll have those available tomorrow so that you can register for that one as well. But it's a great way of being able to get the most out of your Cookidoo. So if you're wanting to explore,
you're not in full screen, Kathy.
Oh, I know.
Should it be?
Is that right?
Yep, you're good now.
Sorry. So if you wanted to, as I said before, look for some inspiration, look for things that are new. You don't have to go hunting too far because it's all here. So what's new in Cookidoo? It's showing you all the different recipes that have just been released and added to Cookidoo to give you some inspiration. When you're in the Explore, so I'll just take you back to show you how I got here. So instead of searching for something in this screen, I always come and search in and hit search here to have an empty thing so you can come into your filters. And this is where I'll go into way more detail tomorrow on next Tuesday night, but you can set your filters and preset them. So if you're wanting to set your filters, you come all the way right down the bottom and update your default filter down here. But I'll go, as I said, in more detail for that next week. But if you wanted to look for recipes, type them in here because you'll find that it will actually give you more of a variety and you can actually have a bit more control over what you're searching. This is here where you search by recipe, but if you wanted to search by collections, you can actually change it, and then you can actually look at collections as a whole. So if you were looking for something that was, I'm going to use Christmas as an example, like Christmas gifts, you can select that and it'll actually give you some Christmas gift ideas. Or if you're just looking for something Christmassy, you might find a few more different things to be, making on the day for recipes. So that's where you can come in for collections. Or you also have here articles. So the articles allow you to have a read of different things that that they've recently brought out. So a lot of you probably have seen that there's a new TM7 coming out. I haven't actually looked at this to even know because we won't be having it here in Australia until July. A lot of people have asked me, what do they do? Should they wait or shouldn't they wait? And it really comes down to personal preference. I'm not somebody that has to have the latest iPhone. I'm quite happy with my iPhone and quite happy with the features from it. But when I need something else that I know is available on the newer iPhones, then I will probably upgrade to that. It's probably very similar to that. So the good thing is, I've explained to a few of my customers who have asked, is being able to have the ability to have a Thermomix on your bench right now, as opposed to waiting until after July, is very appealing to many. Being able to get all the gifts at the moment that's on offer. So I'm just, I will come back to that at the end, but this is where you can have a look for some more information. And then we've got up here my recipes, so you can save collections, which is down here. And my week is where, and I haven't done any planning because we've been away, but this is where we're putting things into place. And you've just got a sneak peek if you're coming along to the branch meeting. I'm making party pretzel bites. So there you go. There's a little sneaky peek of what I'm going to be making tomorrow night. With the branch cooking class, we have all the team leaders and we all make a different dish each and we whip around to all of them, and you end up seeing 6 or 7 dishes made, somewhere between 5 and 7 dishes, I think it is, made in 1 hour. Great way of being able, we always have a cocktail at the end. Kassan always does a cocktail, which is an awesome way to finish it off. So that's tomorrow night. If you want to know anything about that, you can create your own shopping list. So if I was going to be really organised, I'm just going to cancel them out. My shopping list is now back to 0. So if I wanted to make sure that I had everything for this, I can go add to shopping list, and then I've got my shopping list ready to go. So I can show the ingredients so I know when I'm walking around the aisles of the supermarket what I need to have. Before I go, I normally update my list and say, oh, well, I don't need water because we've got that on tap here. And I might already have baker's flour. So great. These are the things I need to make those particular dish. And you can go, otherwise you can go by recipe. So sometimes if you've got half a dozen recipes, but you're just ducking into the shops to be able to get that one recipe, you can actually see what that one recipe is and tick off as you're going around. The best part about it is if you're not in any of the remote areas and you have access to Woolworths, you can order your ingredients. So it will take you over to your Woolworths because they have the same platform that talks to our platform, and then it will bring over your ingredients. They're ready for you to do. Now, because I'm dairy free, I would then swap that and I would look for macadamia milk if I wasn't making my own. If it comes up, because they have now got the Milk Lab one. Maybe if I type in Milk Lab, only because it froths better with so I would go looking for that. It's not coming over for me, but yeah, I would look for the milk that I wanted to have, or I might choose soy if that wasn't available. So you can order your ingredients, pick and collect or home delivery, which is awesome. So that's really brief overview of Cookidoo. As I said, join us next Tuesday night and I will go into a lot more details for you to be able to understand the ins and the outs of Cookidoo so that you can get the most out of it. And then the next night, which is the 5th, we will be doing the basics class, as I mentioned before. I find that any of my customers who I haven't had a demo with or they haven't attended any cooking classes, I find that they're the ones that don't tend to be inspired as much. And I might catch up with them a couple of years down the track and they'll say, oh, I hardly use it. You know, it's on the bench or it's in the cupboard. Thermomixes are scared of the dark. They don't like going in the cupboard. They prefer to stay out. And that way you'll always use them. It doesn't matter. Don't beat yourself up if you're not making dinner with it every night. It's here as a kitchen tool a kitchen tool for you. It's the best sous chef. It doesn't talk back and it allows you to be able to use it for however you need. So some days I might just use it to chop things. Other days I might use it half a dozen times. We might use it for boiling eggs for breakfast, making our coffee frappes, putting some sauces together so that we've got them on hand, making stock paste or whatever it might be, and then making the dinner as well. So it could be just, see how you go. Don't beat yourself up, but do ask for help if you are struggling. If you need inspiration, that's what we're here for. We often have a lot of recipes that are our go-to no-fail ones and super easy. We've all got busy families. So if you want to, reach out for any information like that, that's what we're here for. So I think now I'm just going to tell you, for those that haven't got a Thermomix, and I don't normally hold off all night to tell you the price is actually $2,579 because I always think it's better to tell you that up front. So I've just realised I haven't told you, but I'm just going to get the things that it comes with. So at the moment, the TM6 comes with your cookbook, all your normal things that it always comes with. So your aroma, your butterfly, I've got the splash guard on there and the simmering basket. Pop that in. Your measuring cup, which can't fit on while the aroma's on there. So that's there. And it also comes with the butterfly. So that's over there. So that's what your normal, can't even see, what your normal Thermomix comes with. Okay, stock standard TM6, that's what it comes with, and spatula. So that's that. At the moment, you get, I don't know if anyone's noticed, this white board here is called a glider board. So that comes with it. That's really super handy for when you need to move it around your bench. So my bench is actually quite wide. So if I want to move it around, you tilt and slide, and it protects the feet, which are the scales. So that comes with that. It comes with a second bowl blade and lid. Okay, so it comes with a second one of those. I did mean to get that out of the cupboard, but I forgot. Do you want to grab it out for me, Tom? Thanks. The second bowl blade lid.
Kathy, also with the glider board, just for any mums on here, it's great so your kids can't push your Thermomix straight off your kitchen bench because it doesn't move when they push it.
That's so true. Thanks, Danielle. Look, I'm pushing that and it's not moving. But if I tilt it up and move it, because of the glider feet and the grippy feet at the front, it just won't move. So it doesn't vibrate off your bench if you're making doughs or anything like that. There's the second bowl, just so you can get a visual of what it comes with. It comes with your cutter. It comes with your spiralizer. So that's your spiralizer. Running out of bench space. Spiralizer. It comes with your blade cover peeler. And it also comes with an additional 12 months Cookidoo subscription, which is worth $89. So that's over $1,000 worth of value that you get absolutely free when you purchase your Thermomix at the moment. I've never seen anything like it. It's just incredible. So they've got that on, knowing that the TM7 is coming out. Pre-sales for TM7 are going ahead in April. Sorry. Yes, April. 4th of April, and but there's no release of the TM7 until July. So July is the earliest. The people that are ordered earliest will then have the dispatch of their TM7 in July. It is going to be $2,649, I think it is, as a cost, and there's no gift with purchases. So there's nothing like that. These don't fit the TM7, so they haven't got those available yet. Just to give you the facts, I want to be very, very clear. It's, this is what happens. They are a very tech savvy company, and they want to make sure that we've got the leading in any appliances. So I dare say once the 7's released, they'll start working on an 8. Who knows? It's just the way it is. Because if we were all still using the TM31s, we'd be behind the 8 ball with technology. So that's exactly what is happening. Just so you know and you're fully aware. So is there any questions at all? Or anything you want to check with me? Any questions in the chat box, Danielle or Carolyn or Emily?
No, you've answered the ones in the chat box so far.
Cool.
Doesn't look like it.
Excellent.
That was amazing.
Oh, good. Thanks, Carolyn.
Good job.
So I will sign off unless you've got anything else you want to check with. But as I said, secret to the best getting the most out of your Thermomix is being in contact with your consultant. If the consultant no longer works for Thermomix, I do try as part of their checking out process to get your details so that we can at least let you know that they're no longer going to be a consultant and would you like another one assigned to them. It's something that I'm very passionate about because we do have a lot of customers that over the years have just felt very neglected because they've had their favourite Thermomix consultant move on to other things and they feel like they've just been left behind. So please reach out to us. I do suggest that as well. We are busy. We often have other jobs as well as being Thermomix consultants. So if you do have a question or if you haven't heard from your consultant and you do want to touch base, we love getting text messages or calls to know that you need a hand. So please don't be afraid to contact us. That's what we're here for. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great night and I look forward to seeing any of you tomorrow night on the branch cooking class. And if you want that link, then reach out to your consultant or pop it in the text box here. And then we'll also have our Mastering Cookidoo on Tuesday night and our Back to Basics on Wednesday night. See you all later.